Hello and welcome to The Long Run, Navigating the Miles of Modern Leadership. I'm Martin Lewis, I'm your host, and I'm going to take you on a paradigm-shifting journey of a lifetime. Welcome back to The Long Run, Navigating the Miles of Modern Leadership. I'm Martin Lewis, and today we're talking about something that sits right at the heart of sustainable leadership. Empowering others and choosing the right crew to run alongside you. For many of you, you'll know that I often talk in running metaphor, and this is no exception today. Leadership isn't a solo marathon. Even the strongest runners will have a crew. People who pace them, protect them, and remind them who they are when the miles get long. And in leadership, the same is true. Today, we're going to explore what empowerment really looks like, why it matters, and how to build a crew that helps you lead with clarity, steadiness, and humanity. So why does empowerment matter? Well, empowerment is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, but in practice, it's actually incredibly simple. Empowerment is about reducing dependency, not increasing it. It's about helping people grow their own capability, not keeping them tied to yours. So when leaders empower others, three things actually happen. Number one, they create more space for strategic thinking. Then their teams become more confident and resilient. And finally, the leader's own pace becomes more sustainable. So empowerment isn't a nice to have thing, it's a survival strategy for everyone. If you've ever watched an ultramarathon, you'll know that runners don't do it alone. They'll have their crew. People will hand them water, check their form, sometimes just walk beside them for a few minutes when things get tough. In leadership, your crew is the group of people who helps you stay aligned when your values and your direction are sometimes waning. There are three types of crew members every leader needs. Number one, let's look at the pacers. These are the people who help you keep a steady rhythm. They remind you not to sprint when you should be pacing easy. They help you stay consistent. Then you have the spotters. These are the people who see you when you can't see things. They'll notice the patterns, they'll see the risks, they'll even pick up your blind spots. They're the people that keep you safe. And finally, you've got the encouragers. These are the people who hold belief for you when yours dips. They remind you of your capability and your direction. When you have those three roles filled, leadership becomes lighter, clearer, and far more sustainable. So what barriers exist here? But let's be honest with ourselves. Empowerment isn't straightforward. It's actually quite hard. Many leaders overfunction. They step in perhaps maybe slightly too quickly. They might be carrying too much. They might be having lots of different responsibilities. They might be spread far too thinly. And often it comes from a good place. Wanting to protect people, wanting to get things done well, wanting to avoid mistakes, sometimes thinking without friction and thinking, do you know what, if I do this, then I don't have to explain it to somebody else. I can just get on with it. But the unintended consequence is that leader becomes the bottleneck and the team becomes dependent. The biggest myth I hear is, if I don't do it, it won't get done right. In fact, I've probably said it myself, several times in fact. But right often just means my way. So who's to say that you've been doing it right all along, that you're going to get it right, that you're going to continue to function in a way that enables you to tick all the boxes? Empowerment requires letting go of perfection and embracing growth. And we often say that perfection is the enemy of progress. So actually what we probably need to do is allow progress to happen and don't worry about perfection. There are some practical tools that we can use to help us to empower others. And here's a simple framework I use with many leaders. First of all, let's work on clarity. Now, my model is always about clarity. Let's make sure that we are clear in our thoughts, that we can see the routes ahead, we know where our destination is, and we know how we're going to feel when we get there. So people can't run well if they don't know that route, and if they don't know what the finish line is. Be explicit about what good looks like. We might say, oh, this feels all right. That's a good job. But actually, what is a good job? What is that good job? And if we can actually own that words and own that narrative out loud, then actually what we can do is actually be more empowering. Autonomy is really important here. Give people the space to act so they can grow into those spaces and that they can make and forge a name for themselves in those environments. Okay, the best leaders are those that create a space for others where they can thrive. And so therefore, once we create that space and let them step into that, then we need to allow them to fill that space, to inhabit it and to decorate it their own way. Let them bring their own style. Let them bring their own approach. Let them tackle the situations that they need to tackle in the way that feels most resonant with themselves. Third thing is support. So this is not about hovering, like intently ready to pounce. It's about hovering in the background, being there and indicating that actually, do you know what, I'm over here. If you need some help, you need some support, then all you have to do is come and check in. So this is guidance without taking over. Okay, so this is a poignant thing that we do because often we can be quite overbearing, in that view to try and get things perfect, and it's thinking, okay, I'm just going to trust you now. Okay, I've given you the tools, I've given you the space in which to act, I've given you the clarity so you know where you're going. All I've got to do is just be here, be available should you need to work things through. Okay, and there's a simple delegation script that you can use. So it starts with, here's the outcome we're waiting for. And then you put in why it matters. And then you say what success is going to look like. And then you say, right, you have full ownership of this, of how you get there. Okay, it's all yours. Okay, I'm here. If you need me, just let me know what support would be helpful if you need it. Okay, simple measures. A goal, the importance of that goal, how you would know when you reach that goal. It's yours to navigate. I'm here if you need. Come and ask me if you've got any questions. It's clean, it's respectful, and it's empowering. So what you can do is this leads you to a point where you can actually put an intentional method down to building a crew. Okay, so I can shape, I can mold, I can get individuals into a situation where they're going to, sort of thrive. Okay, I can shape that horizon rather than it happen to me. It can happen collaboratively. So most leaders will have a crew, but they just haven't named it. So actually being more intentional allows us to kind of be more evidential. Okay, let's start by asking, who helps me pace myself? Okay, the number one crew member. Then who spots the things that I miss? Who are those people that pick out on the detail and bring back to focus the goals that we were aiming to do? That's your second group of crew. Who are the cheerleaders? Who's going to encourage me when I wobble? Who's going to be the emotional support mechanism? Who's going to be the person that regulates and supervises around vision and clarity and goal? Okay, the third crew member. Then look for where you've got gaps. Okay, because you might not have someone that fulfills all of these criteria. You might have one person that fulfills all, but if you don't have a spotter, find someone who thinks perhaps maybe differently from you, comes with a different perspective. If you don't have a pacer, find someone who values rhythm and consistency and boundaries and actually kind of keeps focus on task. If you don't have a cheerleader and encourager, find someone who knows how to hold belief, but does that realistically. We don't want someone sugarcoating it. We want people that are realistic, that they're clear with you when the boundaries or when we're losing sight of things, but actually that they're still there ready to encourage people when it's required. And remember, you're in someone else's crew too. Empowerment is always reciprocal. Someone is always going to come in and kind of try to empower you, and you will empower them, and actually it becomes a collaborative duality, really. So in my own personal leadership journey, whether that's been in nursing or perhaps maybe in my current role as a coach, or perhaps in my personal life when I'm running, the moments where I've grown most have always involved having the right people around me. So when I cast my mind back to doing my 100-mile ultra, I think about, okay, I purposely picked out the right people to help me at different places, and actually it was not done instantly. It wasn't just, oh, you'll do and you'll go into that position. It was done with intention. It was like, okay, I see the type of person you are and the type of runner that you are and the type of feedback, whether it's data or emotional or observational or based in reality. And I think, okay, where do I need you most in this kind of journey that I'm going through? And when I think about, perhaps in my nursing career, it might have been about recognising individuals who, okay, right at this moment now, I need you because there's this child over here who perhaps maybe is struggling with this particular thing, and you've got a particular strength in connecting around this issue, yeah? And those people, you don't just grab them, you nurture that kind of connection that you have with them. And similarly in coaching, when I'm forging a relationship with one of my clients, it'll be, okay, how in empowering you, it's like, okay, what is it? What are you? What type of crew member would you be here? Are you that crew member who is a spotter, who's just going to pick things up and you're going to respond to data, and that's great, and we can really coach you down that route? Are you somebody who is a pacer? So in which case it's like, okay, right, today we've done enough, right, well, let's just draw a line there and let's think, okay, let's rest on this and recover on this. Here's a couple of tasks that you can be getting on with, and then when we come back we can pick up that same rhythm working from that same point. So you can really figure out the episodic nature of their journey. Or it could be the fact that actually here's somebody who is infectiously positive without being toxic. And we can really get them hone in on the positivities, and draw out the positive elements and the strengths and utilize those in perhaps maybe allowing them to develop themselves to the full capability of whatever it is that you're working at. And all the way through my career, whether it's been nursing, coaching or in running, these people have been around, and these are individuals that I have intentionally placed in positions where I feel that they will sometimes benefit me, yes, but also where they will benefit themselves and they will maximise their potential. So people who didn't try fixing things, people who didn't take over, people who simply stood beside me and said, you've got this, I'm here, keep going. That's the power of having a crew. And that is why in leadership, we should never embark on trying to do something independently and think that we can do everything. We're not superheroes. Nobody ever thought we were, and least of all ourselves. So as you head into the rest of this week, or perhaps into next week, here's a reflection that I want you to think about. Who is in your crew and who do you need to empower next? Because the best leaders will only grow people, okay, and will feel open to continue to grow themselves. And sometimes that comes from the people that you are trying to empower. And with that level of humility, we can actually continue to thrive, to develop, and to be the best version of ourselves. Remember, leadership is a long run. You don't have to do it alone, and you're at your best when you help others to run well too. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode of The Long Run. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode.